Eggs. Last part. The machine. Where was it? He'd put it on the table to bend down and pick up the broken meat. His eyes looked in terror as the man who resembled a camel was fumbling with the most important and complex item on this planet. You stick it in here, do you? Monty stuck his mucky digit into the funnel. Don't touch it, you moron! You'll get your fingers stuck! Get out of there! You'll... Too late. Camelman had been sucked into the device. It took a fraction of a second longer than, say, a sausage, but eventually he was suctioned into the food storage device, punctuated with a succinct and almost smug "Th." Beat grabbed the device, leapt from his seat, and immediately tugged the warped door open, tearing the bell off in the process, and he ran out of the cafe as fast as he could, glancing back only once to see Martha scratching in masses of curly hair and staring at the seat where Monty was sitting. He ran through the grey city in rain, narrowly avoided being hit by a red double-decker bus and knocking over a bowler-hatted man with a large umbrella and a briefcase. Oh, do you mind? His clothes were sodden, but he never slowed the pace. Beat finally reached an old oak tree, just on the inside of a park behind some iron railings. He rammed a key into the bark, twisted and pulled the large wooden panel open. A door. He fell into a beige-coloured room with a triangular beige control panel, lights flickering in various shades of beige. The doors closed behind him, beige ones, with a patient He choked back his despair that his job might be terminated along with his favourite limbs and threw his very basic space-time machine into a temporal orbit with the flick of a switch. A beige switch. He needed to work out what on Gallifrey he was going to do to resolve the situation. He stood staring at the middle distance as the rain dripped off his nose onto the console, narrowly avoiding a light beige self-destruction button. After a few hours of pacing his time ship and biting his lip until it was red and sore, he came to a decision. It was highly illegal, but the posh Time Lord stock, would eat anything. He'd seen other intelligent creature-like edibles on the food list. He could just list it as one of those. Some of the animals in the universe that have died to add the perfect flavour to the food blocks were actually intelligent creatures. I mean, like the Altarian mooses, an upright beer-swilling species that laughed and grunted at other upright beer-swilling Altarian mooses, having evolved a great sense of slapstick humour that they really needed, because they were hunted, and hunted. It was just bad luck that they had evolved a colour fur on their back which resembled a circular target. But they were hunted for food on their home planet, and these creatures have tried their best. They've tried their best to look civilised by stealing the locals' clothes, usually neckties, nightgowns, for some unknown reason. Some have even escaped on spaceships and ended up hanging out happily at spaceports, grunting and drinking and selling their fur to make the most comfortable slippers this side of Metabelis 3, or Metabelis 3, or 2, or 1, actually. Yet, they were in the food cubes on the Type 45 because they were considered a delicacy by the locals on the Moose's home planet, and therefore ended up upon the grub list of the food machines. Let's face it, that rubber-lipped fool from the cafe on Earth pretty much resembled one of those moose creatures anyway. Beat was sure he'd come across human on a menu somewhere in the galaxy. Maybe it was on an Androgum's Eaton Parlour menu. Or was that a banned flavour? The more he thought about it, the more he knew he'd never get away with it. He needed to be even more illegal. He needed to lie completely and utterly. He would simply rename the collected portion as bacon. No one would know. Who's ever going to really know? No one knows the difference on Gallifrey anyway. No one ever likes Earth except that physician criminal. Job done. Bacon. British bacon.